Within an IBJJF rule set, attacking leg locks from the 411 isn't really much of an option. Toe holds aren't very strong, there is a knee bar threat, and attacking an ankle lock on the far leg isn't going to be successful. So what Gordon did was used this as a position to be able to easily come up on top. Entering into the position and knocking down a standing opponent is where the bigger part of the battle is, but once you have somebody down on the ground and you've binded their two legs together, denying them meaningful base, everything becomes a lot easier. So if we just go from this side here, it's very difficult for me to get up from this position because I also cannot withdraw my bottom leg. Both of our hips that are on the ground, that leg is going to be the leg that needs to withdraw. So if I'm trying to get up, even if I can get my foot in base here, for me to be able to withdraw this leg out to complete a technical stand-up is very difficult because it's going to be in here controlling Kevin's leg. Not only that, if I did somehow create enough space, once I start pulling this leg out, Kevin can pull his leg out. And now we're creating a scramble where now there's a race to base, which is not what we want. And this is how Gordon managed to use this at the highest level, is he was able to deny his opponents the ability to ever get to base so that a scramble never actually existed. He was in control the whole time. What we want to do is get to that weak side so that I'm going to be able to withdraw this leg. From here, depending on how your opponent's basing, it's relatively easy for me to either keep my feet together like this, kind of like a twist sweep, or keeping my legs in a triangle and being able to turn over like this. What I want to try and avoid is having my leg on the outside like this, because he's going to be able to control it, and it's going to be harder for me to withdraw it underneath his hip. So as I'm in this position, like this, I'm keeping my foot in, whether it's a full triangle like this, or more down at the calf, doesn't really matter. But as I turn from here, see how my foot withdraws underneath his hip. What this is going to allow me to do is keep control of this leg posting up on my elbow, so I'm going to be able to start performing a technical stand-up from here. I personally don't really like to triangle my legs, but this is what Gordon was doing. We can either keep it from this position, but I'm limited to my elbow. What we'd see Gordon do as well is grab down here with a monkey grip down at the Achilles, creating a pull so that he's able to now post up on his hand. From here, if Kevin tries to withdraw his leg, it's very difficult. I'm not holding it out like this, where he's got room to articulate. I'm creating the monkey grip to shut down his range of motion out to his right side, outwards away from me, but I have to use my ribs on the other side, and preferably even here, bringing my armpit over top of his foot. So if he tries to go to the left, it's gonna push into me. If he tries to go up, it drives into my hand as well as my armpit. And if he tries to go out and down, it pulls into my hand. So we wanna try and limit the range of motion that our opponent has, especially with the leg, because the leg is gonna overpower our arms. From here, as Kevin's trying to get this out, I am looking to turn myself to get my knee down to the mat so I can now freely withdraw this leg. Getting up here. This is where we'd be completing a sweep. If our opponent's gonna make it a little more difficult for us, Gordon had to do this against Patrick Gaggio, where if Kevin's in good base with his hands, he's gonna post up onto his hands like this. He's creating a wider lateral profile to his left and right. And so if I'm just here on my elbow and I'm trying to rock to the side here, I can get most of the way, but he's gonna be able to, at this point, keep his hips and knees pointing upwards. What we saw Gordon trying to do is stay on his elbow and rock, and wasn't able to. So he rocked back, so now he's in better base. So he's able to build up onto his elbow, and then builds up onto his hand. By building up onto the hand, he managed to get his center of gravity even higher and give himself more mobility, so that now as Kevin's basing and trying to stop me, I'm able to create more room, and I'm gonna be able to use my entire body as a lever with gravity to now rock with more momentum. And turn up onto my side. So here, being down on the shoulders, we don't have very much mobility, but we're very stable. You might be able to turn against some people, but against better guys, build up, keep controlling this leg, and now with this momentum, use a swinging of your legs and pushing and turning your shoulders to turn over. Depending on how much you're turning, we're able to use our head and hand as a post, just to make sure that we have really strong base. So that from here, as I'm rocking up, we'll see Gordon post his head and his hand like this. Kevin tries to run from here. Both his legs are still stuck. And from here, I'm able to build up with this hand, put my feet in live toes, better base, so I'm able to drive. Don't be stuck like this, dead toes here. And we're gonna be able to start looking at moving into passing, controlling the upper body. The easier way sometimes to be able to turn up into base is gonna be going the other way. Most people won't turn that way within a non-IBJJF rule set because it just creates better heel exposure. So if I'm like this, in this control, Kevin usually wants to try and turn this way anyway, because it allows him to hide his heel. Turning to his left, his heel just starts to go higher and higher up into the air, which allows me to catch it. However, in an IBJJF rule set, they're not concerned about that. And so here, if I'm trying to drive Kevin over, and he just leans his weight heavily this way, I might have a very difficult time to do this. And so from here, what we're just gonna be able to do is just look to start turning our body this direction and rolling them onto our stomach and to the side we need to perform that technical stand-up. As I'm here, if Kevin's really leaning to the side here or even trying to run this direction, he might be going belly down and trying to drag because he might be able to free that knee. As he's turning himself like this, all I'm gonna do is look to rock myself over that direction. I can hide my elbow at this point if I want to, or I can look to turn and post on my head. Whatever level you wanna try and work at, that's fine. So as Kevin tries to turn here, I can't move his center of gravity. I can't even turn my body this way. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop to my shoulder and bring my elbow behind me to create a wider base behind me. So I'm gonna be able to drive forward. Here, I'm looking to roll and land immediately to this side. From here, I'm still controlling his ankle with that ankle lock grip. I'm gonna look to withdraw my leg, posting my hand, building myself up into base. So here, as Kevin's leaning heavily to the side, I'm gonna take my elbow, this is my preferred way, bringing my elbow back like this. This now gives me a post behind me. Otherwise, I'm here and I'm just gonna be trying to rock my shoulder, and it's very difficult. Here, whether my legs are triangled or not, I'm able to now start to lift my hips. And by lifting my hips, I'm now able to roll over to the weak side. From here, posting my head and arm, building up into base to complete the sweep. Or from here, grabbing at the back of the Achilles, building up onto my hand, keeping the leg trapped in my armpit so I have more mobility to be able to build up. So that's the two directions that we're able to go to take our opponent from the strong side, where our leg is stuck, to the weak side so that we're able to free our leg to perform a technical stand-up to complete the sweep.